So you can go through foster. There's international adoptions.
Yeah.
What I just discovered because I was like, is it legal to buy a baby? Which, Frank ends up doing. Apparently, there's private adoptions, which you got to work through an agency, but basically you're buying a baby.
I hope you didn't Google, can you buy a baby?
I absolutely. Is it legal to buy a baby?
Oh, yeah, you're on some NSA list right now.
Remember when we first met John McClane? Argyle picked him up from the plane and took him down the Nakatomi Tower at the Christmas party. And the terrorists were overzealous, but it was sweet when they killed Ellis. And with a little help from Alan, John McClane kicked ass.
Welcome back to Shat the Movies, the podcast where we answer the question, were the movies we loved when we were growing up really that good? Have you ever caught yourself thinking, why don't they make movies like they used to? Can you still remember spending your Friday night searching for the perfect movie rental at Blockbuster Video? Do you know what Blockbuster Video is? If you answered yes, then this is the podcast for you. I am one of your hosts, Gene Lyons, and alongside me is my co-host, Big D, Dick Ebert.
Good evening.
And each week, we take a look back in time and decide if our favorite films still hold up. The movies we cover are chosen by you, the listeners, who generously commission the films you love. If you'd like to see all the movies we have covered, will cover, want to choose one for yourself, please visit shatpod.com and have a look. At the end of each podcast, we'll provide you, the audience, with the number of wipes each movie takes to get off your respective butts. So thank you so much for listening. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button and share with a friend. It's how we help the podcast grow. Additionally, subscribe to our sister podcast, Shat on TV. Review TV series such as Westworld, Taboo, American Gods, Game of Thrones, True Detective, Lovecraft Country, and Watchmen. You can find all that information and past episodes at shatpod.com/TV. And finally, if you'd like to hang out with us live, follow and subscribe to our Twitch channel, shatpod.com/Twitch, and our YouTube channel where we play video games, host watch parties, and edit this podcast live. All that being said, Big D, what movie are you reviewing tonight?
Gene, tonight I'm very excited for this film. A lot of times we do films that we're very familiar with, big hits, things that's easy for us to reminisce. And then occasionally we will come upon a film which neither one of us has seen or have not even heard of, and it fills in a missing piece in the pantheon of Shat. And that's what tonight's film is. It's for one of our wonderful supporters, Christy, who wrote in and said, can you guys please review the 1981 neo-noir crime thriller, Thief?
Now, Chris D is one of those listeners who gives a lot and asks very little. So, repeat commissioner, he also gave generously to the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride, which caused us to gift him back the episode Invictus. He didn't even ask for that special release. And I know that Chris is recovering from knee surgery. He is a rugby player as well. So, want to wish him well and hope you're healing up nicely. I think he had it about 2 months ago. So, being married to a doctor of physical therapy, I know how long that recovery curve is, and I hope you're doing well, Chris.
Please, as a rugby player, to actually get hurt as a rugby player and go down and take surgery, it's got to be a serious injury. But I also half expect that within a week, he was up and running around, tackling people. They're a tough bunch of fucking people that you cannot keep them down. So I'm sure he's doing fine.
Yeah, I don't think Chris had some like traumatic injury to the knee from what I understand. I think it was like years of activity caused it to happen. But, we're all getting at that age, Big D, where the knees start going. So, everyone's out there. Take care of your legs, take care of your hips, your knees.
And ankles. I'm having ankle issues. Yeah, my Achilles. Issues? Yeah, well, I think it's like this, because now I play softball on the weekends. And if I have a long weekend, like of tournaments, this back of my sneakers tend to rub against my Achilles. And I'm like starting to get to where for a day or two after I can't walk. I had to start taking glucosamine again. The back of my heels, man. It's all those little things that never had caused a problem before. Now they sneak up on you.
These things are going to keep creeping into the podcast episodes where like we are becoming those guys. The King Bee today told me that his boots were giving him calf blisters. I don't know what the fuck that is. Like, we're so old.
Yeah.
So fucking old. We're all going to be wearing New Balance. Like,
we got reading glasses.
Those old man pants that they give you officially when you get Medicare.
Are you going to start wearing compression socks to like improve your circulation and help you sleep at night?
Only when I fly.
You actually have compression socks?
No, I don't.
Oh, I believed you.
No offense to anybody if you got compression socks. Good on you. Take care of yourselves. Well, Thief is a 1981 neo-noir heist film written and directed by Michael Mann in his feature film debut. It stars James Caan as a professional safecracker trying to escape his life of crime and Tuesday Weld as his wife. The supporting cast includes Jim Belushi, Robert Prosky, Dennis Farina, and Willie Nelson. The screenplay is inspired by the memoir The Home Invaders, Confessions of a Cat Burglar, and the original musical score was composed and performed by everyone's favorite, Tangerine Dream. Produced by Jerry Bruckheimer and James Caan's brother, Ronnie, Thief was screened at the 1981 Cannes Film Festival, where it competed for the Palme d'Or. It was released in the United States on March 27th, 1981, to widespread critical acclaim and earned $11.5 million at the box office on a $5.5 million budget. So this is a serious film, critically acclaimed. Chris loves it. And like you mentioned, Big D, pretty foreign to me. I've not heard of Thief. I have heard of James Caan, and a lot of people my age know James Caan from Elf or Bottle Rocket. But the first time I saw James Caan and became a fan of his was in 2000 with Way of the Gun, which, again, underappreciated film, a lot like Thief, honestly, not as critically acclaimed, but a really fantastic movie that a lot of people haven't seen. It's my favorite spin on a Western, and he's just this tough guy in it. He's so damn tough. And I've been searching for that James Caan for a while. Like, he plays a toughie with a heart of gold, maybe, in Elf, but this is badass James Caan, what he was born to do. And Thief brought that guy back into my life. I'm not sure I would have loved this as a kid. It's a pretty grown-up movie, but at my age right now, I had a good time.
Yeah, I've been a fan of Michael Mann movies since before I even knew they were Michael Mann movies. We've reviewed a few of them for the podcast. We did Manhunter, surprisingly, Last the Mohegans. We've enjoyed them generally as a podcast, with the exception of the Roger Roper Heat episode, where Roger could not keep the plot in order. He did not remember how characters had died. And this is about as straightforward plots as you can get, and Roger struggled with it.
Yeah, Heat was like Michael Mann, but adjusted for the mainstream audience, where they were like, they're doing Bonds, and this is what the Bonds are. This one, I got to be honest, like with Thief, they're like, Gags is down on the merch. And I was like, is it a blowjob? Like, what's going on here? Like, I had to pause a couple times to figure out what the fuck was going on.
Yeah, but at the same point, one thing Michael Mann does is he doesn't skimp on the detail, and that Roger couldn't keep up with it. We'll get into it, but Michael Mann, he does, step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of a plot, of a crime, of planning. It's very straightforward. So we shouldn't have a problem with this one.
Well, all right. Without further ado, Tangerine Dream, take us to the trailer.
Are you clear?
You've been putting down 2-3 scores a month.
You want to put down contract scores all over the country?
Working directly for me?
I am self-employed. Geisty lice. Just diamonds or cash.
Fine. I'll make you a millionaire in 4 months.
I wear $150 slacks. I wear silk shirts. I wear $800 suits. I wear a gold watch. I wear a perfect D, flawless, 3-carat ring. I'm a thief.
Do you think that I have been waiting for you to come along?
You're gonna marry her and have some kids? Yes.
Hey, I'm talking to you. Hey.
I mean, what is going on in your life that is so terrific? I'm just asking you to be with me. Go.
We got a problem.
I want my money.
We're new partners. We're in for 10 points.
I am the last guy you want to mess with.
You get paid what I say. You do what I say.
You don't know from one day to the next whether you're going to be killed, go home, or get busted.
What's wrong with you? James Caan. Thief.
Frank is a jewel thief and ex-convict with a pair of successful Chicago businesses as fronts for his criminal enterprise. All that's left to his life vision is creating a family with Jessie, a cashier he has been dating. After taking down a major diamond score, Frank gives the diamonds to his fence, Joe Gaggs. But before he can collect on his $185,000 share, Gaggs is killed for skimming from the payments he'd been collecting from loan shark clients.
So the movie starts, and one of the things we know about Michael Mann movies is they're generally realistic. They're grounded. They're not traditional Hollywood. We meet Frank. He's not the average thief. He's smart. He's calculated. In the first 10 minutes of this movie, I think there's like 3 or 4 words spoken of dialogue. They're showing us the heist. They're safe cracking. They're going through the boxes. There's jewelry. There's gold, but they don't want them. They're just dumping them on the floor. They're zeroing in on the little white packets. And we know that's either heroin, Gene, or it is diamonds. So I'm banking on diamonds. And the moment says everything. Frank's not greedy. He is precise. He's got a purpose. He knows exactly what he wants. He's not going to waste his time. And it's a subtle way to set up the movie that this is going to be a professional. You know, he's sharp planning. He's got a code. And James Caan, you questioned him as an actor for this. I think he's perfect. He makes the role because he is a genuine, like, tough guy. He's got credibility for me just because of The Godfather, just because of Sonny. But he's done plenty of movies where he's either a cop, a criminal. He's a tough guy. There's something about him. He's a real man's man, Gene. And if somebody knows a man's man, that's me. He's hard. He's tough. When he says that line, you know, I'm the wrong guy you want to fuck with today, I believe him. I don't want to fuck with this guy. And James Caan is perfect. He is no Al Pacino, fake-ass tough guy.
I was at dinner the other night with 2 of our listeners, Seth and Angela, whom you've met. And I was like, you know, about 16 to 30 minutes into every episode, Big D's going to say something and it's going to get us way the fuck off track. And I'm going to be cracking up. This one came like 10 minutes after. First of all, if anybody knows a man's man, that's me. And also, I know that these packets are either diamonds or heroin. Big D, you think people have a heroin safe?
Oh, it depends. I don't know how. This is 81. I mean, maybe they're a well-organized heroin dealer. I don't know.
It's in a safe deposit box. They're organized in different shelves.
Yeah, maybe it's deliveries because they had names on it.
That's Mike's heroin.
Yes.
It's Brian's heroin.
It could be all code names. But you see, I did bank on diamonds. So I figured it out. Yeah.
If it helps at all, I thought that they were like bonds, like documents again. I was like, oh, they're envelopes. There's got to be bonds in there. But did you get the feeling that Porter from Payback, like Mel Gibson's character in Payback, was kind of loosely based on Frank?
Yes, I think I got that. You can see Frank has a code, but it's less of the John Wick. He's just an average criminal here with a code.
Yeah, but that's just it. I mean, it's very specific, though. He just wants exactly what he's owed.
Ah, that's true.
He's just after his 185. He sort of thrives on assuming he's already a dead man, right? He doesn't take shit from anybody. This is where, it's a big departure from the John Wick, because here it's like, look, I am woefully equipped to take on these challenges, but I'm just going to go headlong into it because I do not give a fuck. Except, it's less razzle-dazzle than Mel Gibson.
It's 100% correct, and I didn't make that connection. When he says the $185,000, because it's mine. That's my money in your pocket, matter of fact. And the little henchman, that again reminded me of Payback. That's the guy. He's going to be trouble. That's the guy. You got the crooked cops trying to shake him down.
Yeah.
You got the female role who's trying to change his life. And wow, this is very close, Gene. Good catch.
And you mentioned that, thank you. And you mentioned that, Frank isn't your typical thief, that he's precise and he's focused. And we see in this opening thing, it's not just pulling off the heist after the heist, right? Multiple cars get switched. They got a secret garage. The bag goes with one guy. The tools go with one guy. They change their clothes outright. There is nothing that's connected these guys to this crime. Then you go to Frank and Gag's meeting, and they're meeting in a diner, like in the morning, and checking out the diamonds. Like, were you thrown off by that at all?
What, the fact that it's like in plain view of everyone, that it's not like, hey, let's go to a back room. Let me hand you the package and you check it out. It's on like the table. He's ordering coffee.
And let's be clear. Okay. Frank owns a car lot. He also owns the Green Mill. He owns a bar in Chicago where he has meetings and knows it's safe and it's not bugged. That's not where this goes down. It goes down in a diner in plain view, as you mentioned, Big D. And it's at their booth with food and everything there. I've only touched a loose diamond once in my entire life. I was at a jeweler and I was shopping for an engagement ring for Sarah. And the salesperson, I don't know if you ever went diamond shopping, Big D. They for loose diamonds, right?
Oh, no, I didn't go into like one of those establishments.
Yeah.
I just went to do a little research at like K's, like one of those bullshit places, and then bought it online.
They bring out the little envelope. It's always in like a paper envelope. I don't know what that's all about. But then there's like a little towel they put down and then like a little felt box or something on top of that. And then they got the calipers and you don't touch the actual diamond, right? Just the calipers are on there and you can use a little eye thing or whatever. It's very elaborate. Why? Because diamonds are very small and they're very expensive. These two guys, professionals, this is what they do. They only move ice, right? They're just popping open paper envelopes of diamonds over coffee and hash browns like it's no big deal. And I just really didn't understand that part. It's very casual.
No, but the entire thing, the dog and pony show you're talking about, where they're like laying it out in front of you, it's because they're trying to hype up the value of it. It's like that stupid Salt Bo, the guy who used to do the couple $100 steak. Yeah, whatever his name is. You do this elaborate presentation, like unfolding the envelope. It's like unboxing an Apple product.
Yeah.
It's meant to like kind of draw out some emotion from you when you're looking at them there. But the worst part is Frank is a professional. He doesn't ever put himself at risk. Everything is planned. And he's meeting with this sweaty, cross-eyed, like fat guy who looks like he's at the diner to meet an 8-year-old boy and have Chris Hansen come out from To Catch a Predator. He is screaming, "Look at me, I'm doing something illegal." And then he doubles down. He says, "Oh, I'll pay you tomorrow." I'm not a fucking master criminal, but I know that's a bad idea. We're going to pay me tomorrow. No, I don't trust you. This is crime. You give me the money, I give you the goods. We're gonna make the exchange. You know something's gonna happen. He turns up dead, and I'm like, "Fucking, that's what you get. That's what you get."
Also, later in the movie, when he's with Jessie and he's explaining what do you think I do? What do you think I do for a living? How does she not know? She's at the diner. They've been meeting there for 5 months, and they're just moving diamonds around on the table. I don't know. You're a jeweler?
Or she said, "Are you selling that guy child pornography? That weird dude in the booth?" But as much as we're hyping up Frank, Gene, that he's a professional, he's skilled in all the trades of breaking and entering, fencing. Have you ever met a criminal, Gene, before that has a dream board that he carries around in his wallet? This is 1981, and a hardened criminal who admits later to being raped in prison took the time to cut out, she goes, pictures from a newspaper and magazines. He's like, "Yes, these are the things I want to be real, and they will be real." He's got a dream board.
Why do you hate people being inspired by art? We saw that in Empire of the Sun, okay, with Jim's little poster that he puts up in his suitcase. Now you're hating on this too? Did somebody crush your dreams?
No, I'm just saying it's odd for this hardened criminal to have such a sensitive. I would expect it to be in like the back room of his office, like a large collage that he did. In between breaking into safes and pistol whipping people. When did he have time to cut out all these beautiful photos?
I think the problem with us, Big D, is we don't have gigantic wallets. If you had a wallet that big, you'd probably carry a dream board in it. That thing is fucking huge.
That was a legal size piece of paper, I think. It really was.
I mean, listen, he wears the $800 suits. They got nice big breast pockets. You could put something that big in there.
His wallet is so large, when you open it, you could see 12 cards at once.
Yeah.
6 on each side, plus the dream board.
It's a man's wallet. And you would know. Frank's partner in crime, Barry, discovers a man named Attaglia is responsible for Gaggs' murder and stealing Frank's payoff. Frank threatens Attaglia and demands his money back, leading to a meeting with Attaglia's employer, Leo, a high-level fence. Unknown to Frank, Leo has been receiving Frank's goods from Gaggs for some time. Leo returns the money and says he admires Frank's eye for quality stolen goods. He wants Frank working directly for him, offering large profits. Their meeting is monitored from a distance by police surveillance. Frank is initially reluctant to work for Leo, but a life-changing conversation with Jessie changes his mind. After being rejected at the state adoption agency, Frank is able to acquire a baby boy through Leo on the black market. He names the baby David after his late mentor, nicknamed Okla.
So I mentioned before that there are directors that we've covered that have a style. If you think about Jerry Bruckheimer, explosions, a lot of flash, a lot of lens flare, over the top, ridiculous situations. When you think of Michael Mann, you think of all of his films are generally the same. They're gritty, they're dark. The opening safe cracking scene, that's a masterclass in tension. You see Frank, he's drilling the safe, and Mann is focusing the camera on every detail, no matter how small. The drill, the sparks, the safe itself. It's not crime. It's shot like it's an art. It's like it's a craft. They are mundane, boring hours sitting in a stakeout. They're researching plans. They're sitting up on a roof for hours, sorting wires to figure out which wire it is. Does he skip over this? No, even though I wished he did sometimes. We see every mundane moment of the heist. It goes on far longer than you expect, but at the end, you feel like you're in on the heist. You're there. It's less action-packed as Heat, but you feel what crime is like. And there's something about that there's the mundane nature of crime that most movies miss.
I've spoken on other podcasts about how in Iran, when a Bruce Lee movie would come out, then all the Iranians would go out in the alleyway and try to like kung fu fight each other. You're just inspired by the thing you saw. After watching Thief, I felt fully prepared to pull off a diamond heist. I'm like, oh, I could do that. I got it. Yeah, I got all the steps. You do the wires, do the alarm, make sure the phones aren't connected. You go in, you blow the safe. Yeah, we got this. And for those who haven't seen this movie, what stood out about it for me is every time you have a crime movie where there's a thief, there's always like, oh, you might get caught. Oh no, like something went wrong. We weren't expecting that alarm, or the system wasn't what we expected. That is not this. There isn't a guard that accidentally shows up, right? It's not a skin of the teeth heist. There is nothing slick about it. Frank is so good that he's never close to being caught. That is not the danger in this film. The danger is from people, not from the heist itself. He's a professional as far as that goes. But at the same time, this isn't like an A-team montage. It isn't like music plays, you see them do a couple things, sparks fly, and it's over. It's very gratifying to watch this moment by moment if you have the patience for that sort of thing.
Now, here's the only thing I'm going to say with a caveat. To commit these crimes and get away with it, it's hard enough. But Michael Mann, he likes to make it even more difficult, which is a bit hard to believe, to plan out these crimes in anonymity. It's really hard to do and get away with it. He then compounds it by having police aware that you're going to commit a crime. They're watching you, surveilling you. This is like Ocean's 11 or 12 ridiculous layers of difficulty. It would be hard enough. And the fact that they keep like, okay, we're gonna surveil, but we have to also try to get away from the cops, and the cops are watching us. There's no way any of these crimes get away if the police are already onto you.
It does seem like Michael Mann really likes to have the cat and mouse, right? Like the cops are always onto you, and there's a relationship, right, between the crook and the cop. Big D, you mentioned earlier in the pod that this is a, show me, don't tell me kind of movie. But in the moments that it does tell you, it does it really well, because so many times in a movie, we're screaming for them to show us what happened. Like they'll be like, there was a prison fight. Well, I want to fucking see the prison fight. That sounds pretty exciting. Someone got whacked. Okay, that's what I'm paying money for. I want to see a movie. Like, show me the guy getting whacked. James Caan, though, he is so good at storytelling that I would honestly rather hear Frank tell a story of what happened than see what actually happened. There is a scene in this movie. They're at a diner. He's telling Jessie about his life in prison. And he explains that there was this prison gang made of convicts and guards led by this guy, Captain Morphus. And what their thing was, they would pick out a guy and they would drag him out of his cell and they would gang rape him. That was their thing. And if you resisted, they would fuck you up like real bad. Frank decided when it was his turn that he was not going to give it up without a fight. And so he tells a story about how he just took a pipe, not an elaborate plan, whacked one guy, whacked another guy, went for Morphus and beat his head in with a pipe. And the guy, ended up in the infirmary and died after. The story is delivered perfectly. It is just the way you imagine this character would tell it. There are no frills. He does not repeat himself. He does not speak quickly, but he also doesn't elaborate when things are implied. This is a masterclass in dialogue.
It reminded me a lot of Andy in Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
When Andy's describing what happened to him in the showers, and he says something like, I wish there was a happy ending. I could say, I wish I fought the good fight. And Frank says the same thing. He says, bad things happened. We know what it is. We didn't need to see a reenactment of the shower scene. And Mann does this. He uses dialogue very sparingly. He lets the visuals, the atmosphere tell the story, except for moments like this. This reminded me of Pacino and De Niro sitting across from each other in Heat. You're having a conversation with these two characters, and he's going into the nothing means nothing philosophy that he lives by, that he learned in prison. It's how he survived. You have to truly not care, and that's how you can get through it. And you have to live fearlessly. There's no compromise, and that's how he lives his life. And he nails it. Caan nails it to where, again, I felt like he was a criminal. And it shows how he survived. And Jessie, he's trying to convince her that this relationship could work. So he's going through his backstory. He's also talking about how you shouldn't lie to each other. They're having this raw connection to where they're both fucked up. She says, I can't do this right now. And he goes, what do you have going on in your life? Nothing. You're like me. You're a mess. And I started to think about the people who maybe hit that point in their life. They haven't been successful in a career or in relationships. Their families are usually broken. What keeps you going on in life? And these two, they said, maybe we're both fucked up individually, but together we could have something. And I haven't felt this optimistic about two broken people and seeing why there could be a chance for happiness and what would drive sad and depressed people to have a little bit of hope.
And he's not asking too much, which I love either. Their romance is very interesting, right? He's late to pick her up. He meets up with her at the bar. She doesn't want to go with him. He's trying to drag her out of there. Some guy tries to intervene and he's like, nah, Flash. Shows him his gun. The guy backs off, punches a dude in the street and throws her in the car, takes her to the diner, right? But as they're talking, they see something in each other. And she even says hey, I'm going to disappoint you. You've got this life board that you carry around in your giant wallet. Well, there's a problem with that. I can't have a family. I can't have kids. And he's like, okay, well, adopt. I don't care. He's not asking too much from the world. He just wants his. He just wants his. And this movie is full of great scenes like this. There's another one. They're going to adopt. They're being denied because he's an ex-con, so it's just not going to happen. And Frank is very pissed off. But again, he's making this great point that he doesn't want too much. He's not asking for an elite adoption. He's not asking for a white baby boy. Okay. He says, I'll take an 8-year-old, and I'm paraphrasing here, half black, half Asian kid, right? If they're older and they're a minority, I don't care. I just want to take a kid out of state control and take it into my home and love it and raise it. Okay. And somebody watching this might be offended by the language used, but that's Frank. If you sanitized it, that is not this character. And I thought, man, this is such a complete character. Okay. It is super informative in illustrating how his motivation is more important than his diction. Also, Big D, I had no idea there were so many ways to adopt. I went in, I was like, wait a minute, whoa. So you can go through foster, there's international adoptions. Yeah. What I just discovered because I was like, is it legal to buy a baby? Which, Frank ends up doing. Apparently there's private adoptions, which you got to work through an agency, but basically you're buying a baby.
I hope you didn't Google, can you buy a baby?
I absolutely, is it legal to buy a baby?
Oh yeah. You're on some NSA list right now.
Yeah. It'll be me and Gags.
Well, you have your national background. You're going to definitely, you've already been pulled over for some no-fly zone or whatever. Didn't you get pulled over in Nashville dressed as Abe Lincoln for an elevated level of search? Yeah.
I've also Costa Rica coming back. And then one time I got Portland because I had, this is back in the deepest, darkest goth days. I had a backpack and I replaced all the straps with handcuffs. They didn't like that, but
no, that's.
Did you ever look into adoption?
Yeah.
Did you ever consider it?
So here's the issue. For people who might not have listened to our full catalog and gone into our fertility issues, but my wife and I, we have our daughter Emma, who just turned 9 yesterday through in vitro. Wow. So after the first 4 or 5 failures, I had said I can't do it anymore because it's very much like a loss of a child, loss of a pregnancy, even though it's just a cluster of cells at that point. But when it doesn't take, you have your hopes up. So we had also, after the last failure, I said, let's look into adoption. And you listed the ways. Now, the US system is completely broken because there are financial benefits to parents who do not give up their parental rights. So even if one member of like the immediate family doesn't give up their or relinquish their rights, it holds up the ability of a child to transition from state care and foster into truly being adopted. So kids normally go longer in state care. They become more damaged because of the environment they're living in or bounced around foster homes to the point where they're older, and then people looking to adopt kids don't want to have that child. And then there's firms that will get you, in order to be considered, Gene, you have to put together like a book that's selling yourself. It's about you, your partner, your life, your beliefs, photos. They have to do in-home inspections. Then you have to pay to be considered for each kid. So it's a big money mill. Then the other angle is I could find and get connected with, through a lawyer, there's lawyers that do this, of course, who will find pregnant girls who are looking to give up their child for adoption. You make a connection, you both agree, you sign paperwork, you pay and are part of the process, depending on what you agree upon, to attend doctor visits, drug tests for the mother to make sure things are going correctly. But even then, at the last moment, there's no guarantee that the mother won't change her mind, decide to keep it. There's been horror stories. So we never got to that point. You can try international. There are some countries that are easier. Brazil, we would have to live there for months. So I can feel his pain. I can feel the madness, and you feel like the system's against you. But this betrays one part of his character, Gene. You mentioned how this is Frank. This is how Frank speaks. What do we know about Frank? Frank is methodical. He's planned out. He's strategic. Frank, you didn't think someone was going to ask you what you did for a living or your history? He seems shocked when she's like, well, what did you do for this 20 years? I was in prison. And she's like, oh, that's problematic. And he acts like, why is that a problem? Why is that? And he goes nuts. Why didn't Frank just say, yes, I'm a business owner. I have a bar. I have a used car lot. List his successes. Plan it out instead of just being ambushed by a question you knew was coming, Frank. Is that a stretch, Gene?
No. I mean, I was going to explain that, Frank has a belief, right, that nothing can stop him. He says, nothing can stop me. But you're right. Nothing can stop me doesn't mean I'm not going to plan. You would plan for that sort of thing.
Right.
In fact, that you can bribe the court system into getting Willie Nelson out of prison. Maybe, pull a few strings with the adoption agency, float a few dollars. You can probably grease some wheels.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's half a wipe right there. No, just kidding. After resisting a shakedown from a group of corrupt police detectives, Frank and his crew are involved in a large-scale diamond heist organized by Leo. All goes well with Frank's burn job, and he's expecting the agreed-upon sum of $830,000 for the unmounted stones with a wholesale value of $4 million. But when Frank returns from the job, Leo gives him less than $100,000. This is all Frank will receive in cash, according to Leo, who says he invested the rest of Frank's cut in shopping centers, an idea that Frank had previously rejected. In addition, Frank tells Leo that their deal is over and takes the cash as he leaves, demanding the rest of his money in 24 hours.
So, Gene, earlier you mentioned how informative Michael Mann films are, and specifically Thief, that it's almost a tutorial that we thought we could maybe we could go out and commit crimes. It felt to me, as someone who likes documentaries and likes Discovery Channel, it felt like Mythbusters or Forged in Fire. It's a reality show where they have people who come in, blacksmiths, and they're going to show you how they fold metal and build blades. Or Blown, I think it's called. It's like a glass blowing reality show. It felt very much like that. It's filmed like that. When they're doing the big heist in LA, you have the one guy, he knows his job. He's got his fire suit on. He's manning the fire extinguisher. You have the other guy on the who's feeding the gas. Frank is working that lance tip, whatever that thing is, that lance. I'd never seen it before, but now I know that's a way I could crack a safe. It's very sophisticated. It's synchronized, and it is shot beautifully. It reminded me of those sunset shots in Top Gun, where you see the three of them working, the sparks are up, there's smoke, they're silhouetted. Then they mix that with the interior of the safe as the metal is melting, and you see it to what it looks like through their welding glasses, and the metal is melting. It is half cut, it falls, and it is beautifully made, and I appreciated the time put into the details.
You're not wrong, but I'm going to offer a counter argument here. This movie is incredibly subjective. You have to be into this shit to really appreciate this film because it is 2 hours long, right? And we spend like, as you mentioned, it's 5 minutes just watching Jim Belushi check wires with alligator clips. This one, phone. This one, yeah, that one. This one, phone. We watch guys stacking furniture. Just stacking furniture to get it out of the way so they can cut into the safe. We watched James Caan just sit back during the heist. He's just smoking a cigarette right next to a gas tank. Did I enjoy it? Hell yes. Yes, I enjoyed it a lot. But did Sarah fall asleep? Also, yes. I'm assuming you watched this movie alone.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you think you could have watched it with anyone else in your household?
No, someone who didn't host a podcast and had to choose to. No, I don't think many people. Roger Roper would not have made it through this.
I mean, Roger Roper can't make it through fucking Finding Nemo. Come on.
That's true. But no, most people wouldn't have gotten through it, but that's one of man's problems. Heat, 2 hours and 50 minutes. But you got to take the good with the bad. If you're going to show us the mundane nature of it, you can't cheapen it by half-assing it and doing montages.
Yeah, to be clear, I don't even think that's a fault. I'm just saying it's a very specific kind of movie. Like to me, like you, it was like ASMR, right? It was like brain massage. I'm like, yeah, keep going, yeah, cut that shit. Mm-hmm. But I think that a lot of people are not into watching Jim Belushi listen to a guy say Mexico.
Right.
Oh, okay, that's the password.
No, and normally we could just jump forward to somebody answering the phone and getting that piece of information instead of every step. Like we see the phone game. Person A calls B calls C drives over to the bar, then D call. We see every step of it. We see every planning session. I felt like I was at the office where people are setting Zoom meetings and you're just in the background. We saw every Zoom meeting, Gene. Yeah. We didn't see just the final ones. We saw the early ones with the planning stage, and we're going to get through it. And it is all really, I think, grounded. I've never broken into a safe. I've never committed grand larceny, but I imagine this is what it's like. It feels real. But my first moment where I'm starting to be like, I don't know if Michael Mann yet has crafted the perfect formula yet, is when Frank is arrested by the two cops who are trying to shake him down. It's obviously kicking the tail like, hey, we're going to bring you in. And it turns into an interrogation scene that was over the top in a way that the rest of the film, it didn't feel like it fit together. One of the cops is hitting him like Three Stooges style over the head with a wire mesh trash can. He's hitting him with a phone book, which I know has happened. It felt staged. It felt fake. Instead of the realistic, gritty film we've been watching, it felt more like I was watching a TV show on ABC or Fox, like CSI, or this felt like a Hill Street Blues episode where we're watching, hey, you don't want to tell us what we're going to do, punk? Get over here. I'll beat it out of you. This was like Jimmy Smits was going to come in and rough up somebody. It felt out of place. It felt ridiculous. This didn't feel like it fit with the tone of the movie.
This was like the Beastie Boys Sabotage video. They should have rolled Sabotage right over this beatdown. It would have worked perfectly.
Dude, it made it even worse. One of the cops is doing this severe beating with a cigar in his mouth, an unlit stogie.
Well, in his defense, it was after hours. You know, he's relaxed. He's kicking back.
The choreography of it felt very, very, very amateurish.
Yeah. Plot-wise, two thoughts on this. Okay. First, Frank owns two businesses, right? He is established in Chicago. He has injuries clearly from this police beatdown. You would think the second he gets out of there, Frank lawyers up, calls a lawyer, sues the living shit out of CPD. He doesn't have to pull off another heist the rest of his life. Gets a couple mil, kicks back. Secondly, what do we know about Frank? He's connected to Leo. Leo is connected to Chicago crime, okay? Like he is a crime boss, right? You know that the cops are fucking with him. You know what else about crime is that the whole point of organized crime is that you can fuck with the cops, right? So we get the hint that this goes both ways and that Frank is going to get back at them. So I'm like, oh shit, like they're going to really ambush these cops. So we see they're following Frank. I'm like, oh, he's going to put the tracker in some alley and they're going to go in there and all get shot up or it's a bomb or something like that. Instead, this might as well have been like Banana in the Tailpipe, a la Beverly Hills Cop. We get a golly gee gag when he puts the tracker on a bus, yuck, yuck, headed to Des Moines.
Dude, you just described half of Payback that we didn't before.
Yeah.
The tracker, the explosion in the apartment, getting the cops framed for what had been going on. Any of those would have worked, but you could see how this is a remix of a lot of the points that we have in Payback. But Gene, the comedy, it's not done yet. There's a lot of it towards the second half of this film that just, I don't know what happened there. But they've now, they've pulled off the big Los Angeles, the diamond heist. And it cuts to a weird, most of the movie's dark. It's dark and gritty, and it goes into a beach montage that's sunny San Diego, and it's set to this guitar riff. I thought it was Pink Floyd at first, and we're seeing Frank on vacation. He's strolling through the surf. He's got these crisp linen pants on. He's looking relaxed. He's healthy. He's tan. James Caan's chest is out. It's furry. It's beautiful. He's looking relaxed. He's healthy. It felt like an SNL skit because it immediately quick cuts to in the background. You've got like Chris Farley, it looks like. It's Jim Belushi rocking the dad bod. Fat. I think he's got pants on. He's in the surf. He's chasing some girl who's got her top off. It's like goofy hijinks from a sitcom or SNL. And the contrast between these two clowns is hilarious.
What? That's his wife, and she doesn't have her top off?
Yeah, she does at the end, yes. And that looked like a young girl. I don't know. No, I'm talking about the partner, not the wife. I'm talking about Barry.
Yeah, Barry's wife is there too.
I thought that was some girl. That's Barry's wife. Are you sure?
Yeah, yes.
I'm not sure. Do you know it's Barry's wife?
I think they took their wives with them on the trip, man. We see Barry's wife earlier when they go over to his Frank's house.
Okay, well, regardless, these are hardened criminals who just pulled off like this master stroke and getting this amount of money that'll set them up for life. And instead, they're frolicking in the water. It felt very strange. It felt very weird that these two are out there on vacation. And I don't know if it was a mistake, if they were trying to make them seem like more grounded and more like realistic, or this was just, they didn't realize how funny it was going to be.
I thought they had died.
That would have been an explanation.
I thought that they had died. Basically, Frank was smoking near that giant gas tank. It exploded. They died, and this was them like in heaven or something like that.
Or it could have been a dream.
It would have been a really weird time for a dream sequence. They pull off the heist. Frank has a dream.
Well, it was the same as this. They could have pulled off a heist and maybe they got caught. But it gets even weirder, Gene. Here's where we have Frank is acting like he's never seen a baby before. His wife is there holding his baby. They're on the edge. It looks like they're sitting on like the coral or rocks on the beach. And it would be like if you handed someone an alien who had never seen a baby. He picks up a shell and he's trying to like put it in the baby's mouth. And I'm thinking, no, you don't do that. James Caan as a kid, he's an actor. He's on Hawaii Five-0. But don't put the shell in the baby's mouth.
People like you are the reason why I refuse to interact with babies. Because I don't know how to deal with a baby. And I might do something like that. Then everyone's like, oh, look at Gene putting shells in a baby's mouth.
You're not a fucking idiot. You would not do that.
I don't know what.
Would you hand a baby
what's allowed in a baby's mouth and what isn't?
Anything hard that they could choke on. You know choking risks. Okay. Well, thankfully, you never gave Emma anything to put in her mouth that would have caused her to choke. Don't even twist that. You're definitely going to get the police called on you. What can you put in a child's mouth, and can I buy a baby?
Frank drives to his car lot, unaware that Leo's henchmen have already beaten and captured Barry and are waiting to ambush him. Frank is knocked out, and Barry is killed. Frank awakens with Leo staring down at him, surrounded by his henchmen. Leo informs Frank that he, Jessie, their child, and everything Frank owns are Leo's property. He warns Frank to focus on his responsibilities. So when Frank returns home, he orders Jessie out of their house, telling her their marriage is over and that she must immediately leave and he will not be joining her. He instructs an associate to drive Jessie, the baby, and $400,000 in cash to somewhere they cannot be located. Okay, so Big D, in this movie, we got big names in crime movies. We got James Caan, we got Jim Belushi, we got Dennis Farina, who has like a very small role in this, but he's very fun to watch. I'm not really sure why Willie Nelson is in this movie. That was an interesting choice.
Because he can be.
Yeah, I mean, right, true to form, Willie Nelson is cool as fuck. And he's cool as fuck in this movie, too. He's doing, like, this crazy eye thing and, like, just really chill, giving, like, life advice while he's in prison. And he gives this one really profound piece of advice to Frank. He says, lie to no one. He says, because if you lie to people that you care about, they're going to find out and they're going to be hurt. And strangers, who the fuck are they that you should even care to lie to them, right? I really wish I had the courage to follow that advice. Be like the Dutch, just speak your mind. Be honest to the people you care about. And why the hell? And I do this all the time, right? Like I spend every day, I would say at least once, I'm lying in some way to spare somebody's feelings. Why do I care?
No, I think it's dumb. I think it's very true. And I think Willie Nelson has lived that. He seems like a guy who's been straightforward with his vices, what he likes to do. And at this point, he wanted to act. So let him do it.
Yeah.
He had started a couple years earlier. He did the Rockford Files. He did this. Then he started doing things like Barbarossa. He's done a bunch of like stuff that you wouldn't think of. He did one of the Austin Powers movies. Usually he plays like either a stoner or like in Dukes of Hazzard. I forget. Was he Uncle Jesse or something?
I think he was Uncle Jesse, yeah.
Yeah, and then he's in Half Baked. But he seems like a good dude. He's believable. I don't think he's great when you're going against James Caan, but I don't know why this great lesson that he's now learned about the not lying, it has paid off. It got him Jessie. He's starting to live by that. But at a weird moment in the film, everything is coming apart now. He knows that Leo's coming after him. And Leo is not just like, hey, I'm going to kill you. He gets very specific. I'm going to turn your wife into a whore. I'm going to put her out on the street so a certain segment of the population can ass fuck her. I'm going to get your child returned. He's on lease. I'm going to return him. This shit is real doom and gloom. Hey, this is an emergency. This is an immediate threat. This isn't a time where you think, okay, I'm going to change my rule on telling a lie. You've got to get home, get your wife and your son out of danger. Instead of just coming out, matter of fact, this is what's happening. Leo's coming after us. He's already killed Barry. You have to get the money and run. Go, here's the money. I'm going to get you protection. You pay him 20 grand the first month, 25, then 30. Get out of here. Instead of that, he tries to be like, I don't love you. Get out and leave. That's just adding time. He should have. This is the moment where honesty would have paid off.
I disagree here. There's a reason for all this, right? So first, she tries to do the thing where she's like, you're my man. I'm your woman. I got to stay by you, blah, blah, blah. But it's not for her. It's for him. Why do you think he blew up his own home? Why do you think he blew up the car lot? He has to, in order to do what he's going to do, he has to detach himself from everything. He has to know he cannot go back. There is no going back. And he has to make her leave and not want to come back to him.
That's more my point, Gene. The point is for her to leave. If you want her to leave, tell her the truth. You don't create a dynamic where she's asking questions and fighting to stay. Whatever he's doing it for himself, that's fine. You could have said anything to make her leave faster, and this wasn't the way you get her out of the house quickly.
What would he say? What would you have him say? That would be more effective.
Leo's coming to kill you. You got 30 seconds. Get the kid. Go. Here's the money. I'll contact you when I can. She's out of the house in 35 seconds.
Doubtful. I got to stay by you. What do you mean?
No. He's going to have you ass raped on the street. He's going to sell our son back into slavery. Leave now with our shoeboxes full of money.
I think it's a little more important to tell her what to do when she goes.
Get out of the house. Leave.
No instruction. Hey, here's $400,000. Leave with this guy. Good luck.
No, that's why you lie. His lie could have been, I will contact you in a week. Would that have worked for you, Jim?
For her own self-preservation, she has to meter out the money. Do you get it? He's giving her the instruction. This is consistent with the character.
I don't know about that. There's a lot of things going on here at the end, Gene, that I don't think. I don't know.
All right.
But I beg to differ. I respect your opinion.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Write in, host at shatthemovies.com. Tell him why he's wrong. With nothing to lose, Frank blows up their home using high explosive charges. Why would he blow up the home? He's blowing up his own home. He could go back to it.
There was no time constraint. He didn't set the charges with his wife and kid in the house.
No, the point is...
I understand the point.
Yes.
He had to remove anything.
Yes,
he had to destroy himself. I understand that.
Okay.
But I'm saying if there's a tornado coming to your house, you don't have to explain what a tornado is if your spouse didn't know. You just say, get out right now. There's something that's going to rip the house apart. Efficiency of words.
That's not
over
efficiency.
purpose.
God. Armed with a pistol, he quietly breaks into Leo's house in a peaceful neighborhood and pistol whips Attaglia in the kitchen. Frank hunts for Leo, killing him in the living room. He then pursues Attaglia as he tries to escape from the house, but Frank is confronted in the front yard by Leo's bodyguards. In the ensuing gunfight, Frank is shot but manages to kill everyone else. He loosens what appears to be a bulletproof vest he was wearing beneath his jacket and walks away into the night. Okay, Big D, while you're focused on what Frank should have said, I'm more focused on the fact that this movie utterly falls apart toward the end. I want to know which editor Michael Mann pissed off toward the end of this movie. The early film, we're treated to these beautiful shots of rainy Chicago. There's city lights reflecting off of Frank's black Cadillac. You can feel the warmth of the green mill. You can smell the coffee in the diners. Fast forward to the final shootouts in this movie. The editing, completely fucked. Choppy frames. You got squibs like exploding blood out of dudes at the wrong times. Gunshots go off and guys are like teleporting an entire foot in the frame. It looked like when I first got my first camcorder, the family camcorder, and I tried to make home movies, like make things disappear or do like action sequences. That's the quality that we got from these edits.
Yeah, and it wasn't a fact that maybe they didn't have the shots, because a good editor could have cleaned this up. There's one that I thought my TV froze. It goes from like a door frame to like the outside of the door, and it's stationary. I'm like, shit, did my like streaming service? But no, it's just the ending is a complete and utter disaster. There's the moment you said where he's going in and he's gonna, he sneaks into Leo's house. He looks across like the island, and his wife is sitting there watching TV. The wife just looks at him in a trance. She's completely checked out. So either there's some component here missing where he silenced her, or she's just used to people breaking into the house to kill her husband, that she just sat there like motionless.
Maybe she wants him dead.
That could be. It could be. But you could have edited the scene better to where she points. She's like, hey, Leo's over there. He's in the other room. But that whole scene, Gene, where you're talking about the henchman who's drinking milk at the refrigerator. Yeah. It is shot comedically. It is, and it goes into this final gun battle, which is preposterous. Frank is standing in the middle of a suburban lawn. He's got a fighting stance, and he's firing single rounds in slow motion at one of the henchmen who comes out with the automatic rifle, and he's shooting. No one's taking cover, and not only are the editing's fucking a problem here, Gene, about how they're piecing these together. Did you notice that almost all of the sound disappears?
Yeah.
It's sound effects. It's like he pissed off the Foleys as well, because everything is gone.
I don't think this ruins the movie. It's just odd that they couldn't pull it together. And I was talking to the King B about this, and he observed that James Caan was one of the last actors who had action in his movies, but wasn't an action star. And I think we see that here, right? Like everything that Frank does, you or I could do. I could stand in the front yard with a pistol and just shoot at people, right? James Caan, he reflects that. He's oddly stiff in his movement, although he has great shoulders. He moves, he kind of walks like a bit of a limp, or like he likes to take a shit, kind of like Danny Glover. Yes. He doesn't run. He never jumps. You don't see him do like martial arts, right? He's not scaling buildings. He's not even particularly good with a gun. His power is that he just doesn't care, and it works so well. He looks cool. He looks tough. He's got that fuck off huge 6-inch 1911, and he's just badass. I can forgive the, choppy editing.
See, but I think it might be an issue of just the choreography of it. He's not moving very well, as he doesn't feel confident in his moves, and you're right. It reminded me of Danny Glover. This final slow motion scene could easily be transposed into a different film we have reviewed. If Richard Donner choreographed this and filmed the slow motion lawn fight between Danny Glover and James Caan, yes. The only thing we're missing, Gene, is a slow motion sprinkler. That's it. You could put this in Lethal Weapon. Both of those two men are the least athletic, least agile or flexible actors. It's comedically bad.
Well, Big D, that brings us to the Shat score. The Shat score is our way of telling you how many wipes this movie takes to get off your respective butts. 0 wipes is a perfect movie. It is D, flawless, 3.2 carats, emerald cut. And 5 wipes is an absolute disaster of a film. It is wearing your ass for a hat. I'll go first. Big D, the movie does not finish strong. It is not perfect, but I want to tell everyone about it. I've told 3 people today about this movie. It's just so fucking cool. The bribery hand signals, I didn't even get to that with the judge. Shots of the green mill with back when I had a Mr. Submarine next door. And What I really love though is when everything went to shit. When Leo was saying, "I'm going to have your wife on the streets, and everything you own belongs to me," and kills his friend. Right? So many movies would be like, "Well, he's a thief, so what he's going to do is he's going to pull the greatest heist," and we're going to see Leo at the end like, he stole all my money, and that's how he got back to me. No, Frank is not playing around anymore. He's not thief anymore. He's going to fucking come kill you. All right. He's not pulling some goofy shit. He's not trying to get away with this one. He just walks down the street. He's probably waiting for the cops to come pick him up. Right. I respect it. I think it's an excellent movie. It has its flaws. It is not perfect, but I really, really enjoyed it. I'd say it's an improvement from Manhunter, and I would go 1.25 wipes.
So I'm going to break this down scientifically because I think it's the fairest way. I'm going to split the film into thirds. The first third is a 1 wipe. It is a great example of what Michael Mann can do to world build, character develop, get us involved in the score, get us to understand what it's like to be behind the curtains of a criminal enterprise or breaking into something we could never see. And that's great. Second, third, it's 2. It starts to lose its way. It starts to be a little less clear until finally the final third, Gene, it's a 4 wiper, the final third. And you said, did he piss off the editor? I'm wondering if they either ran out of money or time, because the second and third thirds, they feel rushed. It felt as though he's editing the film, he's building it beautifully. And then they said, listen, you got 4 months, you got to get it finished, you got to get it out, you got to move. So it felt like there was a lack of time. Thankfully, later on, he got better at it. But overall, if I average those out, I think a 2.25 wipe. It's not great. It's worth it, but the last third of the film was tough to get through.
Yeah, and I appreciated that they were efficient with it, but like you're saying, Big D, I mean, easy solution to all this. He walks in the house and he just fucking puts a bullet in everybody's head. One by one. Bop, bop, bop. Movie's fucking over. Because the drama of it is him destroying his own life, right? He gets rid of Jessie. He burns down the car dealership. He burns down the green mill, which was kind of sad. That's the sacrifice. After that, bullets in people's heads, and that's it. Although I did enjoy watching Leo get shot. All right, well, Big D, with 2.25 wipes from you and 1.25 wipes from me, that gives us an average wipe score of 1.675 wipes for Thief.
Okay, before I even look, Gene, I'm a little worried about that. That seems a little bit higher than I would expect for this film, but we'll see. So that now ties us in the 127 spot with Gremlins, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, War Games, The Rock, Back to the Future 3, Dutch, Manhunter, Ninja Scroll, and Crush Groove.
Manhunter. It's consistent.
Well, I mean, it's hard because I don't know that I would see this one again, but I think I said that the same with Heat. That Michael Mann
would watch
films.
Any of those anytime they're on.
Of these films that we listed, yes.
Yeah.
I agree. Would you watch this again anytime soon?
Yes, 100%.
Huh, okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think there's probably stuff I missed in it that I like to watch again. See, like, for instance, what does Okla say to Frank on his deathbed? What do you think he said?
I don't think we're supposed to know.
I love you.
Yeah, maybe.
That's all it was.
Yes. Yeah, that would be good.
You were always on my mind. That's what he says. All right. Well, that wraps it up for 1981's Thief. Big D, what do we have coming up next week?
So, Gene, next week, it is the merriest time of the season. So we're going to have a merry movie that fits it perfectly. The Muppets performed the classic Dickens holiday tale, with Kermit the Frog playing Bob Cratchit, the put-upon clerk of stingy Ebenezer Scrooge. Other Muppets, Miss Piggy, Gonzo, Fozzie Bear, Sam the Eagle, weave into the story while Scrooge receives visits from the spirits of the 3 Christmases, past, present, and future. They show him the errors of his self-serving ways, but the miserable old man seems to be past any hope of redemption and happiness. Commissioned by Helen H., and this is a perfect holiday film to get us through the end of this year. So I'm excited.
Helen, I fucking love Muppets. I fucking love Christmas. Thank you so much for this commission. Thank you, Chris, for commissioning Thief. Thank you to all the commissioners who make this podcast possible. That concludes this week's episode of Shat the Movies. Be sure to follow us on social media and share with a friend. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram at Shat the Movies. Email us, host@shatpod.com. Support the podcast by shopping our Amazon affiliate link, buying our merch, or by commissioning your own movie. Find all that information by visiting our website, shatpod.com. Also, check out our sister podcast, Shat on TV. We review TV series such as Lovecraft Country, Westworld, True Detective, Taboo, American Gods, Game of Thrones, and Watchmen. Find all our information on our website, shatpod.com/TV, wherever fine podcasts can be found, including Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe, and if you stop by Apple Podcasts, please leave a 5-star review. It helps the podcast grow. On behalf of my co-host, Big D, I'm Gene Lyons. Join us next week for the following movie.
Humbug.
He was the greediest man alive.
It's Ebenezer Scrooge.
Until the night he met someone extraordinary.
Hello.
The Muppet Christmas Carol.
I'll drink to Mr. Scrooge, even though he is odious, stingy, and badly dressed.
Humbug.
Oh, there goes Mr. Humbug. There goes Mr. Grim.
Do you think it's safe for us to be up here?
If they gave a prize for being mean, the winner would be him.
Yes, Mr. Cratchit.
If you please, Mr. Scrooge, the bookkeeping staff would like to have an extra shovel full of coal for the fire.
Such a frozen.
How would the bookkeepers like to be suddenly unemployed?
Heat wave. Oi! This is my island in the sun.
It's Charles Dickens' classic tale, as only the Muppets can tell it.
It's good to be heckling again. It's good to be doing anything again.
Filled with holiday warmth
Hey, light the lamp, not the rat, light the lamp, not the rat.
and Christmas spirit.
Jacob Marley?
Oh, that's scary stuff. Should we be worried about the kids in the audience?
No, it's all right. This is culture.
This is the movie to see, to share, to cherish with someone you love.
Thank you for making me a part of this.
Walt Disney Pictures presents from Jim Henson Productions, The Muppet Christmas Carol.
God bless us, everyone.
Whatever.